All right, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about learning a whole new language, but for the codes you already enforce. It's a language that connects what you do on an inspection directly to what happens on the Fireground. Let's dive in. So let me kick things off with a story. I was setting up to teach a class, and this gentleman, retired 25 years in fire suppression, he sits right down in the front row. And he tells me, I did not learn one single thing about fire prevention in my entire career. So I asked him, well, you know what RECEO stands for, right? He kind of scoffs, of course, rescue, exposure, confinement, extinguishment, overhaul. So I go, okay, if you show up to a fire and the exits are chained shut, what happens to rescue? He says it's compromised, we're in body recovery mode at that point. I said, right. And if the fire doors are all propped open, what happens to confinement? The fire takes the whole floor. And if the hydrants are blocked, what happens to extinguishment? We lose the building. Then I leaned in and asked him, what's the whole point of overhaul? He says to prevent reignition. And I just looked at him and I said, and isn't that really just fire prevention? Aren't you just looking for heat and fuel and separating them? That is fire prevention. And that, right there, is the core idea for today. Your inspection is not just a piece of paper you fill out. It is a series of pre-incident command decisions. Every single violation you find and every correction you make is a tactical choice that shapes the outcome of a fire long before the first engine even arrives. You are literally reframing the incident for the crews who are going to respond. Okay, so here's the crucial part. We have got to shift from just demanding compliance to building real understanding. Look, anybody can walk in and cite a code section, the business owner moves the boxes, you leave, and guess what? They're right back there the next day. But when you explain the tactical why, when you can say, hey, if this storage is stacked all the way to the ceiling, my crews can't bounce water off of it to cool the room, and you will lose this entire building. That's a lesson they don't forget. That's when you get real, lasting, voluntary compliance. So, the language we're going to use to do this, it's R.E.C.E.O. For anyone who's ever been on the suppression side of the house, this is second nature. It's the strategic playbook for every single fire attack, taught from day one of the academy. It is the universal language of the Fireground. Okay, so what are they? It's these 5 strategic priorities. And yeah, the order matters. Rescue, exposures, confinement, extinguishment, and overhaul. What we're going to do here is take this Fireground framework and move it upstream, right into your inspection process, because each one of these priorities has a direct counterpart in the codes you're already enforcing. All right, let's jump right in with the first and honestly the most important tactical priority, rescue. The mission here is simple, but it is profound. If they can't get out, we can't get in. Every single decision we make about exits, doors, and access directly impacts the lives of the people inside and the safety of the firefighters coming to help. Okay, so let's make this real. Take a look at this. It looks like a simple hardware violation, right? A padlock. But what happens to the entire rescue priority when this door is the only way out for 150 people and it's padlocked from the inside while they're all in there? To break these down, we're going to use a super simple format you can actually use out in the field. CER. That's code, explanation, and rationale. It's how we connect the rule to the risk. This brings us to our first story, what I call the glow-in-the-dark trap. So you got an engine company, they're just on patrol, and they notice something's up with a supposedly vacant storefront. Using our CER model, the code is clear. You can't have these kinds of locks on a place where people assemble. The explanation, inside was an unpermitted puppet theater packed with 150 people, mostly kids. Now for the rationale, this isn't just a code violation, it's a mass casualty event just waiting to happen. I mean, think about it. Rescue isn't just compromised, it is impossible until crews can physically force that door open, wasting precious seconds and minutes. Okay, let's build on that with this next one. This is the case of the safest tomb in town. A daycare was using an old bank vault as its main playroom. The code says you need 2 exits for this many people. The problem? The owner thought, hey, this is the safest room in the building. It's fireproof. But the inspector looked at it and saw a death trap. The rationale here is terrifying. If that 10-ton door swings shut, rescue is no longer a firefighting operation. It's a multi-day, heavy-duty technical rescue operation to get into an oxygen-deficient tomb. It just goes to show that what an owner sees as security can be the single greatest threat to life safety. All right, so once we've handled life safety, our next tactical priorities are exposures and confinement. Now, they're really 2 sides of the same coin, stopping the fire from spreading. Exposures is all about protecting what's next door from catching fire, and confinement is about keeping the fire in the box where it started. You fail at one, you almost always fail at the other. The goal is simple: keep the fire small enough for us to kill. Which brings us to a crazy one, the karaoke tire attic. The code says fire-rated walls and partitions have to be maintained. So you've got this inspector who's thinking tactically, right? He decides, you know what? I'm going to pop the attic hatch in this strip mall. And what does he find? 400 used tires stored in a common attic space that connected an auto shop to a karaoke bar. And the tactical why here, it's absolutely devastating. Confinement is shock because there are no draft stops, meaning fire can just rip through the entire length of the building. And the karaoke bar, the primary exposure, is now impossible to defend because that fire is going to ignite a massive, toxic fuel load that makes any kind of interior attack a suicide mission. So here's a line I want you to burn into your brain next time you're in a strip mall. If you can hear the music from the shop next door, it means sound waves are getting through holes in the separation. And if sound can get through, you better believe fire and smoke can get through. The fire can see the fuel in the attic. All right, let's move on. If we can't keep the fire in its box, we better have a plan for extinguishment. This is all about our ability to put water on the fire. And the simple, brutal truth is, if the water doesn't flow, the building doesn't stand. And this is where something you see every day, just a simple sign, becomes a critical piece of tactical gear. This fire lane marking isn't about stopping someone from getting a parking ticket. It's about making sure the first engine on scene can get into the perfect position to stretch a hose line and start putting the fire out. This is about geometry and physics. It's about winning or losing the building. So when you roll up and you see a business storing pallets or dumpsters in that fire lane, the explanation isn't just, hey, that's a code violation. The tactical rationale is that the engine company can't get into position. They can't stretch their lines effectively. That one thing forces the incident commander's hand. They have to immediately switch from an offensive interior attack to a defensive surround and drown operation. And just like that, because of a few misplaced pallets, the decision has been made for them. The building is going to be a total loss. You know, it's amazing how hazards can just hide in plain sight. At this beloved local pizza joint, inspectors had walked right past these deep fryers for years. It's a classic case of what they call normalization of deviance. You see it so often, you stop seeing the danger. But one day, a new inspector with fresh eyes realized there was no suppression system over the fryers. The rationale is stark. Without that automatic system, a simple kitchen flare-up becomes a guaranteed structure fire by the time crews get there. Extinguishment is starting from a huge deficit. Okay, and that brings us to our final tactical priority, overhaul. Now, on the Fireground, this means digging through the debris, finding hidden fire, and making sure it doesn't rekindle. But for you, the inspector, think of it this way. It's the fire you never have to fight twice, because you can stop it from hiding in the first place. Yeah, we really have to redefine this whole concept for ourselves. Your job is to conduct pre-incident overhaul. You're the one identifying those hidden paths for fire, those combustible voids, that extra fuel loading, and you're getting rid of it before the first spark ever flies. And here is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. When you write a violation for a greasy kitchen hood, you're not just enforcing a cleaning standard. That greasy buildup, it's not just gunk, it's a fuse. It is a direct pathway that will carry a small fire from the stove right into concealed spaces like ducts and walls. By making them clean it, you are eliminating a threat that would have forced crews to tear apart the building, chasing hidden fire. You did the overhaul for them months in advance. So, there you have it. That's the framework, 5 tactical priorities, and you can directly, positively impact every single one of them on every inspection you do. And all this brings us to a new mission statement, right? A simple rule that should guide every single decision you make when you walk into a building. If it interferes with RECEO, you fix it before the tones drop. It's that simple. You have the authority and now the tactical language to solve the problem before it ever becomes a 911 call. So please, remember this. You're not just an inspector. You're not just a code enforcer. You are the first line of tactical defense. The work you do is a pre-incident tactical intervention. So I'm going to leave you with this one question. After today, after looking at your job through this Fireground lens, what common violation are you going to look at completely differently tomorrow?